What?
Laid it out on the map. You started at a certain point, but you start in a year prior to the budget year,
Yes.
so he was counting an extra year.
Good.
And after that, we can take care of it with Maureen also. Hey, John.
Greetings, everyone.
How's the shoulder?
We're on camera now.
Oh.
Yes, sir.
Make sure your microphone
Just push.
Yep, green light.
Want to come around the corner? Or?
All right, we'll get started. It's just a little after 6. So good evening, welcome to the Ware Finance Committee meeting for January 14th, 2025. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can somebody start to take the minutes, just in case
I will.
Bill doesn't show? He said he was coming. I'm worried that he thinks it's 6:30, but he did say, he did email me saying he was going to come. Should be easy to do. Naomi's going to talk for a while, so. All right, so just a little couple of administrative updates. The town budget is not settled yet. Hopefully, we were hoping it was going to be by tonight, but it's not. So Naomi's going to go over the warrant articles and update us on where everything stands. We will have to meet on the 28th. That was a if needed only. Good thing we had it, because we need it. And so next Wednesday, we're going to meet and listen to Superintendent Coe again, give us an update on the schools. Hey, there he is. So next Wednesday, the 22nd, we'll be here for the schools. And then Tuesday, the 28th, we'll be back, and we'll deliberate and vote on the town articles.
There's more.
You can sit up here.
It's Tuesday the 28th, you said, Tom?
Tuesday, the 28th, yeah, and
Both at
Wednesday,
6?
all at 6. Yeah. Wednesday, the 22nd is the one next week. So we're coming on 2 wheels this year, because the deliberative for the town is 4 days later. So we're gonna have our first cut of the town write-ups done and ready to go that week.
Thank you for coming.
All right. Naomi handed out a copy of the budget and the articles, the warrant articles. Everybody get one?
Yes.
Okay. You got one?
Scott, he needs that. Yeah.
All right, Naomi, if you, whenever you're ready.
Mr. Chairman, before Naomi begins, could she give us the assessed valuation of the town and the numbers so that we know what $100,000 of expenditure would cost us in
So-
tax dollars?
Yeah, sure. What we're using for a net assessed valuation, figure out the tax impact, is 1,306,555.
That's a different number than what you gave me earlier.
1,306,555?
You gave me 1,291,315?
That was last year's.
It was? Oh, okay. I thought I updated it, but maybe I didn't.
Oh, no, it should be, because I gave Chris the same. 1,306,555. You take the total of the warrant article and divide it by that, and you get your however many cents, dollars, or whatever.
Per
So
thousand.
this represents the amount of assessed valuation that leads to $1 in taxes?
Yeah.
Yes. So 1,306,555.
Yeah.
And before Naomi starts, one thing we're gonna do after Naomi's done is, like last year, I put together a spreadsheet that has all the articles, and it's still not finalized, but it gives you what's the tax impact for each article divided by that NAV number, adds it all up, shows what the total tax rate will be, what it, again, not including revenues and things like that. It's higher level than it really will be, but we'll go over that afterwards, just to get a picture of what things might be looking like.
Yeah, and you may, Monday night is our public hearing for the budget at 7 o'clock, And Beth is gonna do one of the spiral bound books. Even though we do have some blanks, we're still gonna have that, so you may have your revenues on that she's gonna be using, but that's just information that you guys will have for anybody that comes to that meeting. You'll have that spiral bound book that she puts together.
Yeah.
So the public hearing on the fire engine,
So we have 3 public hearings on Monday night, all within 15 minutes, so.
and so what time is the board starting?
So we're gonna start at 6:15. We have a non-public. 6:30, we're gonna open public. 6:45, we have a public hearing for, to accept the hazmat grant for the hazard mitigation plan update. 6:55 is the fire truck, and 7 o'clock is the rest.
Thank you.
What?
Say that again?
What's the last one?
6:55 is the fire truck, and then 7 o'clock is the 25 operating budget proposed, the default, as well as all the warrant articles.
Thank you.
It's gonna be the whole thing. And that's pretty much what the night is about. We just got kind of a lot of stuff cramped in one, but we'll get through it.
And tomorrow night and Thursday night are the Ware and John Stark School public hearings at, I think they're at 7 o'clock. They're in my email.
The regular meeting is at 6, and then they do
Public
the
hearing
public
at
hearing at 7. It's not in the cafeteria, though. It's in that side room, and that they've been having their meetings in lately down. They'll probably have a sign up,
Yeah.
figure down the hall this way and that way. when you go in.
If you're on any of the school subcommittees or the town one, these would be good nights to attend if you haven't, to kind of pull everything together for you. And we'll be voting on our recommendations over the next 2 weeks, so.
Thursday night is also 6 PM or 7?
I think it's,
Want me to look?
So the 15th is Ware Middle School, and then John Stark is on Thursday?
Yeah,
they're both at 7,
okay.
15th and 16th, Ware and John Stark, 7 PM.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good.
So I just want to also preface that, we went over these briefly last night. There's a few things that we still have to finalize. Also, our legal has not looked at it, and neither has Department of Revenue, so some of the wording may change, but I think the intent and what we're doing, whether I worded it correctly or not, DRA and legal will correct me if that's the way. So Article 1 is to elect your officers, so you can flip on the second page. Article 2 is the fire truck, and we're going to do a lease purchase this year, or the intent is a lease purchase. The truck is $1,250,000. Our intent is to put $1 million down, and then we're going to do a 3-year financing agreement, lease agreement for $250,000, with the payments for that $250,000 payment to annually come from the Special Revenue Fund. We did it in 2015, the last time we bought the ambulance. We did a 5-year lease, and this was the similar wording. The one thing we didn't have was the down payment last time, so I kind of threw it in there. It's a little wordy, but like I said, the legal team may fix it. But the intent is the truck and everything's going to come out of the Special Revenue Fund, so the $1 million will be the down payment, and then the payments thereafter would also come from that, so. This is just the format. They all say recommended, but they're not finished yet. Just keep that in mind. And the estimated tax impact, because it's coming out of that fund, it's anticipated. And each year, that payment's not going to cost you. It's going to come out of that fund. It's not going to be part of the operating budget.
Tom?
Is your microphone on?
Yeah,
Yes.
and turn your phones off too if you have
Yeah.
ringers.
Could you refresh our recollection as to what capital purchases are going to be coming out of that fund in the future, and how this drawdown of the fund to basically nothing is going to impact the future capital purchases?
Sure. So if you take out the $1 million, it'll bring you close, but there's enough for the $1 million, and then you're going to see another article for 2 Lucas CPR devices. That's $45,000. There's enough for those two. A rough lease payment on the 250 is going to run us about $89,000. And if we take in $289 or $290 a year, you're going to put $200,000 after your loan payment back into the fund. which was what, $600,000 in 3 years that you'll leave in that fund for the next purchase, which is, I believe, it's the ambulance, another ambulance.
And the ambulance costs how much? Roughly.
Today, it's probably in the $600,000.
And so there may be enough money to cover the next purchase in the fund.
Sure, if we had a crystal ball, I could tell you better, but,
Thank you.
yeah, no, that's the intent, and that's why we thought financing it might be a better option with the opportunity of still putting some away and still making a payment
Gives them a chance to build up that fund again a little bit
for the next purchase.
over 3 years.
All set? Okay, so the article, well, I've got them pretty much numbered. We did talk about order. I kind of sprinkled departments in between, because I hate to front-load one department and then put all the other guys at the end, so I gave them each one article, and each one article, I kind of shared it. So if you go to Article 3, will be the budget. It is not filled out, so if you want to look at this sheet here, because the opportunity for error, putting numbers back and forth when we're not finalized is greater. Therefore, if you look at, this is a 12-page document, everything is pretty much finalized, but you're gonna see the yellow highlights. We did open bids for IT on Monday night. We won't be awarding them until this coming Monday, so the IT is still not awarded. And the other is, you're gonna see highlighted throughout, is the cleaning services. Cleaning services is out to bid, and those bids are due Monday morning. But that affects your town office building, your police department, and your DPW, because those all have cleaning lines. So those are all still highlighted in the yellow, because we're not finished those yet.
So it's the same cleaning services contract, just apportioned across the...
So what we did is, when we put it out to bid, we asked for a number for the town office, we asked for a number for the town hall, we asked for a number for the DPW, and we asked for a number for the police department. So we'll have it broken down, not apportioned.
Okay.
We asked for four separate numbers. Yes,
For those of us who look at the bottom line first.
yeah,
um,
you always do that. Then you don't
this
pay
is a se-
attention.
This is a 7.5% increase.
That's 24. guess.
Proposed over 24.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
seems to be 7.55.
I guess. We can debate that all day, but we're looking at the blue columns.
No, I'm looking at the,
I know what you're looking at, the white column. We're looking at the blue ones.
if you look at the default budget, it's 2.6%.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That factors in a default year last year, right?
Right.
I'm missing the point of that.
Well, because the year before, you're looking at 4.8, I think is what. I'll let you go ahead. I won't.
No, I was just gonna
Tell
say
me what you're
that the
thinking.
town got a default budget last year,
Mhm.
so that spread of 7.55 is not exactly apples to oranges increase, right? For 1 year. I mean, it is an increase, but it's over a gap year of a default, right?
Regardless of what you call it, we have a budget.
Mhm.
And
Oh, yeah.
that budget is the basis from which we calculate
Mhm.
changes. And it's a 7.5% increase
Right.
in this budget. What that translates into as a percentage on the tax increase, we could figure out, but.
But at this, and I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, there were other articles that added to the budget that were approved by the voters.
Which-
5%
Raises.
pay raises, 5% CBA. There's other things that were part of the approval that 9 months are built into it. So it's not an apples for apples, it's an apple and an orange right now.
Do you have a list of those so we could do an apples to apples?
Guess I wasn't prepared for that. I mean, because we're not finalized yet. We can get you that, that's fine.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm sure Monday night it's going to be right on the front page as to what was 24's, what got passed, and that becomes, Yeah.
That would be a
yeah,
fair
no,
way
Beth
to-
always does that. She does a great job with it, so you'll have that for sure.
Thank you.
Yep. I know, I mean, anything else, you'll see, we did, just a few things that, while you're on the back page. Conservation, there was some discussion about conservation, then, we dropped all the lines to $1, so their proposed budget is $8. And they had a discussion about that. We did the same with Park and Rec. Park and Rec has the revolving fund, so they can spend from there for some things as well, so we diverted a little bit there. In conservation, they had a discussion over trying to use the conservation fund. So we dropped every line to $1, because if there's things in the conservation fund that do not fit the legal ease of the conservation fund, there's $1 there and it can be overspent, and then we would absorb it in the bottom line. But the intent is to kind of let them use the conservation fund, and the same we did, you'll see in Park and Rec, we kind of did the same thing.
Naomi,
Yes?
does the commission or the committee have the authority without taxpayer approval to spend money from that
The
fund?
conservation fund is theirs to use, yes.
They can spend that without going back to the voters,
Yep.
no public hearing, nothing necessary?
Yep.
Thank
By
you.
RSA, they can, yeah. And we didn't want to drop it so down to handicap them, but we don't know what's allowed and what's not allowed. So this year, we were going to leave $1. I mean, this is, you looked at a little bit before, I kind of blew through it when I did the thing on the PowerPoint. We have sharpened our pencil and refined some things. But again, like I said, we've really whittled in Tom's watch. Tom's been here. And I think we've collectively done a good job, as good as we can. So that's the budget. Anybody else? Okay, so we're gonna move on to 4, which is the raise, there's the number that you see for employee raises. That is as it says right there, it represents 5%, and that first number is for 9 months, and the bottom for the whole year is the 154,237 is the whole year. 115,678 is 9 months. Like I said, these have not been voted on. There was a lot of discussion around all of them, so I don't have a vote. I don't have recommended or not recommended. It's there for a reason, but there has been no official vote. Yes?
I'd like to ask a question about that, because ever since COVID, the employees have been getting very hefty raises. And the cost of living has been running around between 2.3 and 2.5. So we are basically putting a third of the population in this town in the hole. And we've got the schools that do that, and the town's doing that. Now, the average company, since COVID, they do on occasion give raises, but they're not giving them every year. And for some reason, people who work in town expect to have these kinds of raises, and they need to start giving back. And I think these raises are out of line.
Well, I would disagree with that fact if I was fully staffed. Right? I've got 2.5 empty spots that 4 girls are doing. But most of the discussion circled around last year, collective bargaining, we all agreed for 3 years at 5% for the union. So why were we going to do different? This was just a discussion, why they were going to do different for the non-union.
Wasn't that because of the difficulty in hiring officers? I mean, that was part of the negotiation.
Right?
We don't,
And we don't have it with 2.5 empty spots here?
no, well, I'm not sure that a
I'm
5%
just-
raise is going to make a bit of difference
No,
in terms
still going
of
to be behind.
the ability to
Sure.
fill these slots. So why give everybody who is here a 5% raise when inflation at best is 3%? I mean, we've traditionally
you're
given
right,
3%
yeah.
raises.
Yeah, and I understand that too, and it doesn't affect me at all. So if you all think I'm getting 5%, you're talking to, I'm not getting it. But I am gonna pay the 22.9% increase in my health insurance. So, and so are the employees. Yeah,
When you say that this is still being discussed, Has there been any discussion about, say, 3% versus 5%?
There was some calculations done last night. Janice did some numbers between 2019 and present and things like that. So nothing's, honestly, I'm just showing you what we
I'm
have.
just
Yeah.
saying, the only reason I mention it is because we know that there's gonna be big increases in other areas,
Sure.
schools and
Yeah.
revenue streams.
Yeah.
And we know we had a default budget last year. And if we have another default budget, then you're gonna see the increase next year be higher than 7%. And it's gonna keep going up because a lot of the default goes back to the last,
Correct.
multiple years. So there are those who may say, we really wanna work hard to get a proposed budget approved this year, so we
Sure.
don't have a multiple defaults. And in doing that, maybe on the other areas and the other warrant articles, they can look at saying, well, 3% is more than the 2.5 that the retirees are getting, and we can save a little bit here.
Yeah.
And a nickel here and a nickel there, but pretty much, as we always say, it adds up to real money.
Sure.
And,
Yeah, no, there was, Janice did a nice job with starting at 2019 as to
Yeah.
what it was, what was given, what it was, what was given.
Yeah.
And then they tried to do some calculating, but like I said, there was a discussion, there was 4 out of 5, there was no decision made.
Okay.
It's on the table. So we'll hear from everybody as well Monday night about the 5%. I will tell you, we have 2.5 spots open, and I'll be honest with you, and I'm gonna be blunt, it's what we pay.
Yeah.
I had some really great people, but we're about $6 short an hour. They can almost go down and make coffee for $20 an hour, you know?
Yeah.
You ran into that. It is what it is. I mean, I just wondered where everybody went, and it's not really where everybody went. They've landed a position that makes more than here, and they don't want to take that big of a cut to come here. I can't promise them anything, you know?
And as I
yeah.
mentioned to like the school, on the school side, if they don't get a contract, what they're still getting is the benefits and the increase, like you said, you have an increase in benefit costs.
Yeah.
Well, the employee's still getting that. They don't see it as they're spending money, but they
Yeah.
still see that that's an increase in their pay because it's supporting the benefit package
Sure.
that they're getting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Oh, it's a vicious cycle, I get it. And I'm just, from what I feel during the day, I mean, you know, we've had a building inspector open for a year.
yeah.
We have finally got 5 or 6 applications, which would be nice. You know, we haven't had a land use person since July. I think Katie left in July. We've had the advertisement. I've interviewed some awful nice people. But again, they have to look at and balance their own at home, and it comes down to a matter of money. So I can't help that. It's just,
Is there fire and police and DPW personnel in this?
so
990, right?
there's DPW, fire, and I believe the chief and the administrative assistant. The rest of them are covered by the collective bargaining.
Okay.
So there are a couple, yeah.
Do you know how our wages paid compared to the other towns' positions? Are we
You know,
on
we
par?
talk about that every single year. I don't know, because you've got, I know a town next door to us is half our size, pays an awful lot more than we do. You can look at a position I offer here, and you can go to Bow for $10 more an hour for the same position, same benefits, same retirement. So it's tough, yeah. You know, and it is tough, and I say it as a joke, but you can go serve coffee at or anywhere at McDonald's. You drive through McDonald's and they offer 401k, high school, all these other things that, you know, to serve for $20, you know? So it's just a vicious circle. We're just in the middle of it. Sure.
So we had good.
I just think it's important, I understand what you're saying, but I also think it's important when you say that collective bargaining's got a 5% increase. The jobs that collective bargaining does, that's PD,
Sure.
they'll take a bullet for you.
I know, we will too, obviously.
That's what,
Right? It can happen. It's not a joke. I mean, it can happen. You know, you read about it. It's not, people are on the edge. So when you come in here, I mean, you don't come here to have coffee with me. You come here, it costs you money. I'm serious.
try that.
No, it's serious. When you come here,
Come here to get a candy bar.
okay, well, But when you come here, think about it, I'm not, when you come here, you come to do your car registration, it costs you money. You come to pay your dog license, you come to pick a building permit up, you come to pay your taxes.
Yeah.
You always come to pay, you don't come to visit. So I understand it, and it's a very hard thing, and you don't know anybody that's on the brink of what that $1 or $6 or something gonna set them over the edge. And so I was, yeah, you might have thought it was a sarcastic, but you don't know. Somebody in a short notice can, anybody can snap. Just that thing. Sure.
Here's the reality on hiring. There aren't enough people available to fill the jobs that we have in the state.
Oh, sure.
So nickel and diming these raises is going to give a lot of people who are already here and probably not going to move a raise that is more than fair
Okay.
and is not going to be enough to attract people who can get $10 an hour more in Bow.
Yeah.
So there's no value to the taxpayer in this town of raising this more than what is fair and equitable, which is the 2.5% to 3% range.
I hear you. I mean, we can argue, like I said, there was discussion about, since 2019, Janice did a nice job of what was given, what the increase was, and, I think, and even Mr. Pratt was trying to figure out what the average might have been, and I think we were landing about, I think he came out with 3.5, but again, there was 4 of them, no decision was made. Everybody's gonna have their opportunity to talk Monday night about it, and then a decision will have to be made. Yep.
Side question, so you talked about McDonald's hiring or
Yeah.
paying more.
Yep.
How much revenue would be benefited from bringing, companies like McDonald's into the town of Ware to increase the revenue, tax footprint instead of having it
Yeah.
more on the property tax?
Yeah, I don't ever see that, because anybody that commutes out of town does everything they want out of town. You know what I mean? If you go out of town to go to work, you grocery shop, you do everything else.
But if you had a business, like we just had Dollar General
Yep.
come into
Sure.
Ware, that would raise the revenue that they're supporting into the tax structure, right? So that would,
Yeah, they are, and the only thing is, you gotta look at the volume of traffic is what they target. So if you find a place on 114 that you might be able to do something that's commercial, but there's not a lot of space on 114 that we could do that. I totally understand what you're doing, yeah. I think you should attract some more business, but it's, in all the 30 years I've been here, it's very hard.
But that hasn't been part of the strategic.
We haven't talked about it.
Hey, Kyle.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
Oh, you can leave that open, she was just vacuuming.
Okay.
See, I turned, I didn't know what's coming. Trained in that.
I apologize.
Grab one of
Okay.
these, Kyle. And just to remind everybody, there was an article, the same article last year on the warrant. It was 8 cents instead of 9. Finance Committee recommended it and it passed. So that 8 cents was rolled into the new budget this year. Now this will be a new 9 cents.
Was there one in 2023 too?
Which
Yeah.
one are you talking about, Tom?
Yeah, there has been a raise
Every year?
Each year, there's a raise.
Oh, a 5%
And,
raise?
It hasn't been 5% every year.
Okay. So
There has
I guess my
been an
question is,
increase.
Have you ever, has there ever been any discussion of potentially always giving them like 1% so that it isn't this sticker value shock every year, isn't, you know what I mean? Like, instead of giving the 5% all at once, instead of being like, all right, we'll give our employees a 1% guaranteed every single year. You know what I mean?
There's nothing in life is guaranteed.
Well, you know what I.
No, I
you know
do,
where I'm
and
coming from.
and like I said, we talked about it, it was talked about, it'll be talked about Monday night, I get it. The board talked about it, but no decision was made. So, we'll be happy to hear from everybody Monday night. I'm just the messenger that's trying to put you what's in writing, so.
We got a lot of articles to go through too, just to keep
Yep.
that in mind. Not to stifle anybody, I'm just,
So, and again, we'll have an opportunity on Monday night. You're welcome to join us, 7 o'clock. Article 5 is an increase of the Park and Rec. Park and Rec Director is a stipend position for $5,000 a year. They're looking to bump it to $7,000 a year. It's a stipend. The first number is, again, 9 months, which is $1,615. The annual increase to the budget, if it passes, is 2,153, and one might say, well, can't you add from 5 to 7? Right? The 2,153 includes payroll taxes, just to throw that out there. So I can add.
What does the increase do? What
Um,
are they doing that they need an increase?
Well, I guess that I would, we do have a representative from the board that's on it. They're looking to give this person more to do. I don't know. I don't do it. That's one job I don't do.
So the position is currently filled,
No, it's empty.
empty, okay.
No, she left.
Was it because of wages?
No, I don't think it was, but she left right after the summer. Yeah.
Have you tried to fill it?
What they did is they redid the job description, because we had an outdated one, so they've redone the job description to give more things in it. It's kind of on hold on our desk at the moment, meaning we wanted to get through this and get through deliberative, and then we'll put it out there, and then we would probably advertise. But they have talked about it at their meetings as to why a bump.
6.
6 is a detective. You've probably heard Chief Moore talk about it. It's an ancillary position of detective. And it's going to be in, the first one I did not fix, I have the words wrong. It's 5,171 is the number, I just didn't fix the words for the 9. And then the 12 is the 6720.
So this is almost like a additional duty pay for an
Yeah.
existing person, it's not a new hire,
It's going to be more duties.
which would cost more, actually.
So 7 is the transfer station. There's a request for change of the percentage from the transfer station revenue to go from 50% to 100%. There's about a $32,000 that would come out of the revenue based on this year if you did that. There has been talk at prior meetings. The DPW director was not there. He was sick yesterday, so we didn't get to talk about that. But the meeting prior to that, we were talking about looking, instead of jumping maybe from 50 to 100, is jumping to 50 to 75 or 50 to 85. But we wanted to see what that would be, the effect. But I can't give you more than that because we didn't talk any in depth about it last night because Jason was not with us. Article 8 is another, the police, it's a career development officer wellness, and again, that's an initiative, basically, someone's gonna do a Head Start and a wellness check program, and that is, as Tom eloquently said it, it's, someone else gonna have another duty. 7150. Okay? Or actually,
Question?
I'm sorry, it's not a person, I don't think. No, it's not a
Why?
person.
Why wasn't this put in the, why weren't these articles put in the police department budget? Or were the selectmen trying to reduce the budget and wanted to have these hanging out on their own?
No, the chief has always been very transparent and wanted them out there. This is not a person, this is a program. So it's a total,
Understood.
right, it's just, Chief Moore's always been transparent in everything that he's done, and he thought it should be out there and not put in the budget somewhere for something.
Thank you.
Yep. 9 is a 10-wheel dump truck, same article you saw last year, 280. That's gonna go in the revenue, capital reserve fund, I'm sorry, and then you'd buy it out of there. Move on to the cruiser. Oh.
Is there any expectation of being any offsetting money available in the reserve fund now to offset?
So that's another discussion that came up late last night. There is, when we returned money, we did spend some. We bought some gear, safety gear, we bought some other things. And there was discussion that there is some that they could or just leave it alone, so
Okay, haven't decided yet.
they haven't decided.
Naomi,
Yes?
could you give us a list of all of the end-of-year expenses that the selectmen made, the purchases?
I can have that for you Monday. I didn't
Thank
think, yeah.
And how much do they estimate will be available to offset taxes?
None.
I don't know, I don't have that number near for you today.
Thank you.
You will have that number and it's gonna be available. It's probably in the minutes, I just don't have them. The police cruiser, you can see again, 84,276 is to purchase it, and then there's some money that's gonna offset it. There's 15,000, coming from the detail, and then 6,000 from the unassigned fund balance, which represents money from the Everett Dam Patrol. And then the 63,276 is taxation.
And did they buy a police cruiser at the end of the year, with end of the year money?
We used some because we had a totaled one, yes,
So it was the totaled one that was replaced?
correct. Yes, there was an accident that at this point was not our fault. That we took the insurance money and then I think we came up with $16,000. And ended up paying for it. And I may have misspoke, the 16,000 may not have come from year end, it may have come from his
Came from his fund.
fund, yeah. I'd have to get all that for you, Neil.
It was
I'm winging it on the top of my head right now.
Okay, and
Yeah.
where was that replaced vehicle in the rotation?
It was a 21 Tahoe, now it's a 24. That doesn't mean it's gonna stay in the same spot, because it would be foolish to get rid of something that's 3 years newer, right?
Right.
So he's rechanged his rotation, and again, I don't have that, but it's gonna put it out a little bit.
We will get the benefit of that.
Oh, you will, yeah, sure.
Neil, I sent an email out a couple weeks ago to everybody about that issue, where the 16 came from, and it was gonna increase the, so if you look back in your email from me, you might find it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think it came from the year end, because I think I suggested something different and changing his warrant article.
Yeah.
Because he was gonna take the 16,000, which was, and I probably shouldn't even say it, it was money that when we sold the Dodge and we sold the other things at the White Farm,
It was from the auction.
it was from the auction.
16,000 to buy the one that got wrecked,
Right.
instead of helping to offset the cost of this one.
Yes,
what it was.
yeah.
It was originally, but then it,
Yeah,
and they're gonna work to try to get the deductible back
yeah.
after this settled. There's no guarantee.
Yeah, we have $1,000 deductible, so it will cost you $1,000 to get the new car. But there's, when someone's at fault, you have to go through a process.
You have to
And then,
subrogate.
right, and then all of a sudden, when Primex does it and settles and gets our 1,000 back, we'll get it back. But right now, they don't hold you up for it, just like your own insurance if you had to do that. Article 11, the fire department is looking to establish a revolving fund for CPR. Basically, it's gonna be a community safety education, and it's training performed by the fire department, and what they're looking at doing is if you want a CPR course or stop the bleed, or I don't even know if stop, drop, and roll is anything anymore anyway, but that's what we learned as kids. But, so it would be, the idea would be people would pay to take the class, and then we would pay this trainer out of here, so it goes in and it goes out. Neil?
So there's no current revenue going into the general fund, which would be diverted into this fund?
No,
as
we
a result of
haven't, this
article?
is something that they want to do, to educate with CPR, with stop the bleed,
We
with,
don't currently do this.
they want to do it because they've had requests to do it,
It's future potential revenue.
yes. Road reconstruction is the one you see all the time. It did get bumped to $650 this year, or was it $650 last year? I can't remember. We anticipate $284 from the state, $366 with taxation.
Yeah, it was 600 last year.
Yeah. Was it like $640, because we were gonna do some paving at the library and we didn't, right?
It came to 316 for taxation, which is 50K difference. So I don't remember the
Okay,
top line number.
yeah, so it's
When was the last time we bumped this up? Because I know it's been in the last 4 years.
from last year, it was 600.
And then the year before
500
that.
for a long time.
It was
Yeah.
5, and then it went to 575,
550,
550, yeah,
somewhere
and
else
then
then
6, and now we're going to 650.
And our rationale for that is?
I think the cost of the tar and the petroleum products to make the tar has gone up, so you're getting less miles of road, you know. Costs more to make the asphalt today. Just look at the gas pump, right? Costs more.
And Jason has said he wants to go higher. There's a higher
I think he's
number.
gonna end at 750.
Yeah.
Almost $1 million,
600 last year.
600.
So Article 13 you're looking at is two CPR devices. They're called Lucas devices. They're an electronic CPR, so you nobody getting tired. If you ever needed one, I'm sure you'd be really the ones we have now are 10 years old, and you can't get parts from them anymore. We were able to get parts to keep what's going, but this is need to be replaced. So what that does, it would put one in each ambulance. Yes.
This is getting, like with police, we've always taken for granted the uniforms that they wear, the equipment that they have. But now it's coming, whether the equipment is used or not, it has either a 5 or 10 life cycle. And some of this has been left for a long time. PD is having to do some cleanup, and fire obviously is gonna have to do that, and those are things going down the pike. We're going to have to realize they all have a shelf life, which none of us ever thought about, nobody's ever talked about. And it's coming back to bite us.
And that is one, as Neil asked earlier, that's one that's expected to come out of the special revenue fund.
And the fire department put that into their budget, I believe, to replace X amount every year now.
The safety gear, we put in 2 sets a year.
Yeah, 2 sets.
We
a
didn't
year.
put these in,
No,
no, yeah.
but
There are some gas meters and things for for the carbon monoxide and things in his budget. Roadside mowing, this is the article, same article you saw last year. We're just waiting for some feedback from Jason. Last time we talked about this, Jason was gonna check with the distributors to see what the availability might be instead of waiting. You know, some of the vehicles are a year plus out, and if you could find yourself if it passes, find yourself a mower that would be put in service for this mowing season, there would be an opportunity to take, I'm gonna guess, around $10,000 from the operating budget. But we're waiting to see availability before we finalize that step too.
Does that mean he's spending $10,000 a year on roadside mowing when we don't have a machine, our own machine?
We rent now, yes, and it doesn't get you much. It just gets you maybe a month of mowing. If you owned your own, you could be out when we've had no snow and doing some other things. Maybe a little more than a month, but it doesn't get you much for $10,000. Yes.
We live in the woods, what are we mowing?
So you gotta mow visibility-wise, because people, unlike get your driver's license at Sears or whatever, you pull out of a road and we have to keep it back. You have to keep your intersections clear. So as it encroaches and accidents happen, if we don't take our due diligence to be protective and to mow, it doesn't mean to mow, you know, we're not cleaning it up pretty like the state does. You know, they do even the median all the way from one end to the other, if you look at it. We're just looking to keep it safe, keep the intersection safe, and for people to drive. Not, you drive small cars, you drive big cars, you drive whatever, you gotta sneak out into the road sometimes for visibility, and that's not safe. Yes, sir.
I live on Mount Dearborn Road, and they mow that, I won't say every year, but they mow that
Right.
regularly. Is that the case with all roads in town?
We try to get around, but there's more traffic on others than, so you may not see it for a couple of years. You know what I mean? You've got a lot of visibility on some of these busy streets. A lot of cars, a lot of people.
And if we were to rent a machine?
It might get you a month or two. It'll
in
probably get you
place-
2 months.
In place of buying one, you're saying we would be spending much more per year?
I'm saying you wouldn't get as much done. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I know that for the 1 month, but if you were to rent it for as much time during the year as you could use this machine, it would be much more expensive than owning the machine.
Could be, sure. Sure.
this came up last year too.
Yeah, it did. Police tasers is the next one. Again, chief has been great with transparency and putting it out there, is the tasers. I don't have to read it to you, guys can read.
And that one's voted on, so that's official.
No.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, no, that hasn't been voted on.
It says 5-0.
Yeah, I know. That's a cut and paste, Neil. Thank you. The board's on board with it, but an official vote has not been taken.
Do we have tasers now? Are these replacements, or is this something that he doesn't have and wants to add?
I think this is replace,
We have tasers now,
do.
but we have
probably outdated
to
ones.
start replacing them because like fire and the helmets for
life.
PD, they all are getting old. And if we don't start replacing them, they won't have them. The object of the tasers is to prevent them from having to use any stronger force with somebody to prevent the escalation.
Yeah, they're expiring.
Yep. I'm gonna move down to the 5 carport. Oh, what?
When you come back, could you tell us what the associated costs for maintenance and replacement, which are going to be added annually to the police budget, will be?
Yeah, I'll have Chris do that for Monday. Because he'll be here Monday night. Chief Moore will be.
You have calibration and recertification of these things, I think, that they have to do periodically, and that's part of that.
And could you also find out why we need 2 if we have, let's say, we have 2 officers on duty only at all times?
Okay, but don't look at that as it's 2, Taser 10 is the name of it. You don't need 10 of them, if that's what you're asking.
Right.
So you're looking at 2 Taser bundles and 1 Taser certification add-on.
No, I understand we're only getting 2.
Okay, well, some people look at that 10 like we're gonna get 20 of them, you know?
And
Okay.
the reason for 2 is because we only have 2 officers on duty at a time.
No, I think you don't have enough now for what you have for complement of officers. That's my understanding. But
One of these
again,
would be for the chief.
but I think it's more for the chief to discuss, you know,
Okay.
Yeah. He said if this doesn't pass, then the chief wouldn't have a taser,
right,
which
Right.
is the case now. I think one of these is for whoever the
Um,
chief or the captain is.
yeah.
Is what, he'll tell us Monday, but.
Article 16 is a 5-bay carport with evidence storage. This is an open carport with 1 bay, is going to be designed to be fully enclosed and securable for the evidence. Currently, as you can see, there's $2,500 being spent to store off-site the evidence stuff, and so if he's going to take the 25 and the 27.5 to be raised by taxation, and what that would do is it will permanently reduce his article to taking that $2,500 out because he'd have his own storage. So the 4 of the bays would be just open, it's not heated, it's just an open place to keep the sun and the weather elements off the cruisers, so they're not out dusting off from a snowstorm to go out on a call, or the sun's not beating down on the graphics and everything else, or the windshields or something like that. It's just a little protection out of the sunlight and the weather.
Is this going to be made of material or
He's got a quote for a building, so I'm gonna let him elaborate on what it's built from.
Thank you.
Transfer station scales, we are looking to put scales up there for demo. 90,000 is the total cost of the scales, with 45,000 coming from the special revenue fund and the other 45 from taxation. What we're looking at is something similar to if you've ever gone down in the industrial park to, I think it's Granite State Recycling has a drive up and a drive off. It's something very similar to that.
It's a pretty standard
And
practice.
it's gonna be a standard versus now we have the employees estimate when you bring in what you've got, and sometimes there could be shingles underneath and a little piece of wood on the top, and you're charged at the wood rate when it's shingles underneath. So it's a little bit more fair if you just weighing it, then it's fair for all. Yep.
I don't know how much revenue we're collecting from this now, but economically, does it make sense to spend $90,000 for a scale if the amount of revenue that we're missing would be a small amount of money?
Well, I'm not sure that it's about missing, it's about being fair. New Boston's got one. A lot of them do it that way now.
There's
I
a,
can still keep my shingles under the wood even with the scale.
Yeah, but what you weigh is what you weigh. Because you're gonna weigh a certain amount, you're gonna weigh more than a wood pile with the shingles. So you're gonna drive over and you're gonna tell me what you weigh, then you're gonna drive back empty, and we're gonna figure it out, and that's what you're gonna pay for, is the difference in the two.
Now, this is for C&D, it's not for steel.
It's for construction, correct. So it's all the demo.
No.
And so the selectmen will raise the rates to make sure that we compensate.
We're actually looking at trying to establish something that, maybe a tiered rate, to offset some of it faster. But again, Jason was not here, so I can't tell you what.
Thank you.
And the revenue from this goes into the transfer station fund.
Yeah, the recyclable, the special revenue fund.
It indirectly impacts the taxpayer, but not directly.
there's past years where we were under
We've lost,
collecting.
they lost
Yeah.
money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was, seemed like
This is
it's
probably
chunky.
not a fair question for you. It may
Yeah.
be a Jason question,
Yeah,
and I
sure.
realize that.
I can try.
We do have commercial haulers in town. We do have people that have their own businesses. And the big question is, are they all getting charged appropriately? That becomes a question. Do commercial haulers get charged a different rate because they're bringing in more?
No. Not that I'm aware of. They're all getting charged the same rate, but, again, that's more of a Jason question. It's my understanding that they pay for the construction, they pay for everything else. They bring their cardboard, they bring their glass, they bring their,
And it has to be from our town.
that's the game, yeah, supposed to be.
They're not supposed to be bringing it in from,
No, it's supposed to be Ware's Trash, yes.
Is the money that where does the money that we currently get from the fee that people pay, however it's calculated, does that go into the special revenue account?
No. So if we pay to get rid of it, construction debris goes in a revolving fund,
right,
not a special revenue fund. Special revenue fund is your cardboard, your glass, your aluminum, your paper, and things that you're getting a revenue for. Construction debris is a revolving fund, so the idea is you pay, because it's gonna pay for the trucking, it's gonna pay for the wait time, it's gonna pay. The idea is what you pull in is supposed to be what you pay out. That's why it's very important that it's accurate and fair to all.
And that's currently the situation?
No, currently, we are estimating
No,
based
no,
on some
I mean
math.
where the money goes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
So it's not affecting the tax rate, one way or the other?
It's going into the revolving and out of the revolving for those items.
But when we undercharge for trash, it does affect the
It-
taxpayer.
Because-
It draws it in the negative, right?
the other thing that affects it is the hauling rates and the wait time where they're taking it to be let go of. That just,
But that's all part of, because you're charged for that was bid, in the bid is the wait time. And the fuel costs, if fuel reaches above, I don't remember the dollar amount, then you're charged extra. Body worn cameras, again, the chief does a great job with, he can explain that all to you, but I think it's pretty well spelled out. He's looking at 3 cameras, 1 docking bay, media storage, and license for 15 personnel. Again, he tells you where it's gonna be drawn from, the balance to be raised by taxation, then it's gonna become part of his operating budget from here on out.
do you recall why that number went up, Naomi? It was 4,200 in the,
Yeah, I don't,
capital plan that we had.
yeah, I don't remember if that's a new quote. I don't know, Tom.
1,700 or so.
So then we move down to Cypre, which Tom, you're aware of. What they did last night, instead of 32, they moved it to 35,000 to come from the Cypre account. And again, there was no vote taken. That's a copy from last year.
And that coincidentally is the amount necessary to restore the headstones?
It's actually, what they were looking for was 31,000 and something, and so we rounded it to 32. And then the question we talked about last night was, should we put a little more in there in case something else they need? So they rounded it to 35.
This is headstone repair plus tree work plus cleaning D2 cleaning supplies. It's a mix, but mostly headstone repair.
What cemetery is this?
Go ahead.
It was Eaton and Sugar Hill. No, this is Oil Mill.
I think,
The
yeah.
Cyprate's Oil Mill. So the one in Riverdale.
Is it a historic site or?
It's 1800s. It was established.
Yeah.
It's in East Ware. I mean, it's the old Riverdale area, not East Ware.
The work that was done up on East Road really looks good. On the-
Yeah, and Eaton and Sugar Hill are gonna be done this
Yeah.
spring as well.
The one that did Center Square? He did Center Square off East Road, on the right-hand
Yeah,
side.
same one,
Right up,
Yeah,
yeah, right up by my
East Road.
house.
across from your house.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they spent, and the same gentleman's gonna do Eaton and
He does a good
Sugar
job.
Hill, yeah.
The money, this is coming out of the Cypre Fund, which is replenished by the sales of lots, and it's the interest from a fund that's invested from the sale of lots.
Okay.
And it accumulates over time. You can only spend the interest.
It's a painless account.
I see the $0.
And then Article 20 is for the contract for the forester with the Conservation Commission. It's the same article you saw last year, same wording. Comes out of the town forest money. Again, we'll have balances for you to tell you what's in there, so. The only thing last night will go in place or above, so we have received one petition. Today was the deadline. I don't know if we received any more because I wasn't here. But there's one petition for fireworks. But last night they want me to add an article to put some money in the current, you have an employee retirement fund, capital reserve fund, and there's $1,420 in it. You do have one retiree this year, which you'll see in your budget on the town clerk. And that's, you have to pay out, so that's both proposed in default because it's a liability. So we have an unfunded liability currently of accrued time of about $376,000. And you have $1,420 in the account. So the idea was, we don't know, Beth is gonna put together or try to put together what we've done or who's retired in the last 5 and 10 years to see, how much do we put in. But now keep in mind that 376 is not all retirement. So it's accrued time that you've earned that if you left tomorrow, you take it with you, like your vacation. The retirement, it works a little different. The personnel policy directs the retirement, your age, how long you've been here. So we're gonna try to figure out, what's the right number, put a little money in there. Because right now, I don't remember the line, but if I had somebody's paper, I could find it. You can see the number in the budget. Can I see paper? I gave mine away. So if you look in the clerk budget, I believe it's in there. Yeah, so if you look at line 105 on page 2, it says town clerk accrual wages. Maureen is gonna retire after this year's town meeting. So you're looking at $50,818 that we pay her for the service accrued time per the personnel policy,
And
Per
that's
year?
time that over her career.
over her 30 years.
She didn't take in vacation.
No, she's taken it, but you gain sick time so when you retire, if you've got more than 30 years, you get 100%. She's gonna have 30 years,
100% of what?
whatever you've saved for time. So if you've never taken a sick day,
You bank it.
you can bank your sick time.
We don't have a limit on that?
We do, 900 hours. When you get to 900 hours, you can hold on to 900 hours. And then your vacation time, someone with that amount of time has been here, gets 5 weeks vacation for 30 years.
Wow.
Wait,
It's actually not
Could
that
you
much
explain this a
vacation,
little
I have
more
way more than
clearly?
that.
It's pretty clear in my world.
it's not clear to me. A person works here for 30 years,
That's
and they
ridiculous.
use all of their sick time,
No.
hold on, they use all of their sick time and all of their vacation time. They now retire. Are they entitled to any money from the town?
If they've used it all?
They,
No.
over the years, they've used all of their sick time.
Okay, so what you're not understanding is if you use it at year 10, because you had surgery, you start building it back up, so in 20 years, you're back to 900. So at 900 hours, when you leave here, you're entitled to that. That's the personnel policy that was written.
Well, that's not what he's
Every
asking
year?
though, right?
If
So-
you use it all, it's gone and
It's
you don't
gone.
get it paid out.
So a person who uses, every year, uses all of her vacation time
Yeah, they'll have
and all of
nothing.
her sick time
Yeah.
would get zero.
Correct.
Correct.
And to the extent she can bank it up to
9,
900 hours.
for sick time, yes.
And for vacation time?
You can only carry 1.5 times on the book.
And you're paid for this time, not at the dollar amount you were earning in the year in
Oh.
which you accrued it?
No, you're right. No, it's exactly. When you leave. We've done this before.
So
We've done it at the highway, we've done it for others in here.
if she
Yep.
came in at $15 an hour and then went up to 20 and 25 and 30, and finally she was making $35 an hour.
You're gonna pay at
you would get
35.
35 times 900.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep, so that's why we're looking at trying to put some in, because if you've got people that leave, they still have vacation time they're entitled to. I can't take their vacation time away. They don't get their sick leave. But if they work for us for 5 or 6 years and, swap their vacation, but they still have vacation, when they leave, you pay the vacation that's due, but not the sick.
Personnel part.
Are the selectmen looking at changing this policy?
I,
Changing the caps or
I don't know. They haven't,
suggested to them?
have I suggested? No.
This is part of a contract?
Whose contract?
Like Maureen has a contract that.
She does not have a contract.
No?
No.
So this is a town policy.
It's the personnel policy that you get when you're hired.
Yep.
It tells you about warnings, it tells you about holidays, it tells you about sick, bereavement, and everything else.
Like you get with any.
Like you get with any job,
Yeah.
right.
But it's subject to change if
Yes.
the employer's whim.
Yes.
They will have discussion about changing it. They've changed it, I don't know how many times since I've been here. I started in 95, so, just like Maureen did.
And are they looking, well,
It was, and I remember it, this is my personal opinion, I remember it being because they weren't part of the New Hampshire retirement. So when you left here, you had nothing. You had no retirement. So you left with your nest egg and did whatever you wanted with. Now we are part of the retirement. Since, I don't remember when. So, and it's not elective, it's part of the retirement.
And you'll make that point to the selectmen?
Not,
That
yeah,
history.
yeah, we gotta get through this knob first here. We have a lot of knobs here to get through. Like, we gotta get this done, we gotta get deliberative session done, we gotta get town report, town mailer, town meeting,
No, I understand.
yeah.
Thank you.
there's an open selectment seat coming up, I believe.
So we don't know what the number would be. It's gonna be, you're gonna look at,
subtle.
but it is phrased for retirement. I gave you a number that if everybody left, whether it's a retirement or just leaving, is an unfunded liability for the accruals on the books. That number is that number. It's not a retire number. We gotta figure that out.
Is the talk to put 376,000?
No.
That's
That's just a number. We all wanted to know what we were subject to,
Yeah.
right? We all wanted to know what the liability was, so we figured it out. So now the thought is, instead of taking the $1,420 and putting it toward the $50,800, is maybe we put in a little bit here and a little bit there. If you remember, years ago, we used to have an article, Neil will remember, that put in a little bit in each capital reserve fund every year. And they'll be putting probably some in there, just like if you wanted to do a government building article and you wanted to have, if you got a list of $50,000 worth of stuff, you're putting in the savings account, just like you would for your own home, right?
When the town's financials are audited.
Yep.
Do the auditors bring this amount up?
Oh, yeah, it's
So
written,
it's in-
it's in there every year,
Thank you.
and it changes from year to year. Depends on what your staffing level is.
So line 105 will not necessarily be in next year's budget if
Correct.
nobody retires, or it could be a different number.
Yeah, we had nobody retire in '24, this is '25.
It's a one-time.
Yep.
so to speak.
You did it before. You had one highway guy at 42 years. I mean, when Judy left us in, I don't remember what year, she had a lot of time left too. Yeah. You have very few that have a lot of payout, because nobody sticks around this long, just the carpet. That's like Nathan.
Anybody have any questions on any of the articles that we
Did
might
you
have
want to
gone
talk
past?
about the petitioned article or not?
It's not mine, so you can read it. There won't be a vote on it, I don't think you guys vote on it, by petition.
Oh,
We could,
It's money.
we could decide to
It's a
recommend if we
money
wanted
Yeah,
to.
yeah, like I said, but this is, I'm not gonna discuss it, it's never been discussed at our level, so.
Yeah,
It's a petition, which basically they'll talk from the floor and make amendments or do whatever they wanna do.
it's got
It's like
money
all of
related, we can take a pass at it.
Sure.
Quick question. So are there departments that have given a substantial amount of money back to the town within the last 5 years that we should be aware of?
So, what you're gonna find is Neil asked for the end of year. I think with the end, we ended up around $550,000 left. Out of that, we did make some one-time purchases for some gear, some software for the DPW asset management software, trying,
Generator,
the generator that we just awarded,
voting machine.
the voting
Yes,
machine.
there as
See,
well.
he's got a list. Yep.
It was a handout one night.
I was trying to do it off memory.
I'm trying to figure out,
dollar amounts on there?
yeah,
Yeah, but he's looking probably at an older one. We didn't do all of that. There was requests. So what we did is, there was enough money, Beth did a financial that was, this is much was left. And then there was, the police had we did the water filtration system that I talked about last time, that came out of there. And then there was fire, $54,000 for safety medical gear for the fire department. I don't remember all of them, but not everybody got everything, so I'm not thinking about, so we do have that number, which Neil asked me to get, and then what got spent from it. And then the balance is typically what would be turned back in, unless we decide that, I say we collectively as the board, decides to maybe offset an article with some money, so that the tax impact instead of 9 cents is 0, you know what I mean, something like that. That's a discussion still to be had.
That in effect substitutes the board's decision for the voters' decision. Very unfair.
Just saying, they have that ability.
Anytime you put zero tax impact on an article, it's very likely to pass.
Mhm.
But of course, the board has made that decision, in effect denied us that amount of money, which would go towards reducing everybody's taxes, and people could decide whether they wanted to spend.
But you also have to understand, they don't have to give it back to you, they can let it sit in the bank
I
account
understand
and sit there too. So, you know that, Neil. Nothing's been decided yet. I'm throwing everything out there to be transparent, is what we've talked about if you haven't watched our meetings.
and we bought some fire gear too.
54,000, yep.
So, my rough number, Neil, and don't quote me on this, but we ended up with 542,000. That's, Naomi mentioned that, and I think they spent 149 out of that, is what
So
I,
There's 400 left.
yeah, roughly. That's my notes.
Quick math.
But it could have changed.
What did they like us to keep in reserve?
Well, you're supposed to keep, we set the tax rate this year, when you set the tax rate, they like to keep 5% as a small. And I think we ran right down close to that, or
Close.
we were real close to 5%. Yep. Because the range is 5 to 17. I know some communities carry 17 of an overlay, so.
So water filtration,
400,000 is 30.6 cents on the tax rate.
149,000.
No, 400,000,
Oh, the left, okay.
The leftover is what
Oh,
he
right.
did,
How
yeah.
much was it? 30,
30.6 cents.
okay.
Yeah.
It's not horrible, but yeah,
Well, that's
it's good. Yeah,
It's a quarter and a nickel.
yeah. Well, it's more than a 10-wheeler truck.
For sure,
1.5 10-wheelers.
right. That's 9 cents, I think. Or is it 21 cents? I think that's 21 cents.
21.
Yeah.
It's a 15-wheeler.
Yeah. 10 and a half.
So as I said, I mean, Monday night at 7 o'clock, we're gonna go over things again, and everybody can have their input at that point as well. We're hoping, because the 27th, we have to post the official warrant, and so that's why Tom stated earlier, the 28th, you guys are gonna have to meet, because then you're gonna have to finish that night, so bring a lunch. And, then you're gonna have, because I need them, if you want me to print them out, I need to have them, because Saturday morning, we're over there. So we get a lot of,
Bringing dinner.
but the idea, I think, and I said it in Tom to an email, the idea was you kind of know what we're after, so that, you can ask your questions, but the wording may be critiqued a little bit, but it's not gonna change, I guess, the intent. So when you get to, the article with the 10-wheeler, it's 10-wheeler, it's 280. How the verbiage ends up, it's still 280 and a 10-wheeler, right?
Yep.
So I don't think you have to go into the weeds to get that part, so. Anyone else? All set? And there'll be handouts Monday night too, so. Because I'll finalize a little bit, change date.
Yeah, who's on the town committee? I know you are, I am, Kyle. I forget who else is, maybe Elizabeth. If you can go Monday night, it'd be good, because we can, and, we have our heads in it, other people have heads in the schools, and when we're deliberating, you wanna have a good read on what's going on, so that we can go back and forth with each other and figure it out. I have a spreadsheet updated with everything that we do know at the current time. Would people like to take a look at the big picture?
Sure.
Sure.
Yep.
We can talk about any individual things, but I thought I'd throw it up there. Again, it's not 100% accurate. I think the school stuff is accurate.
Except for well, no, it's pretty accurate.
Pretty close.
I talked to Chris Roy today, because I wanted to get some specific tax rates for the articles.
Yeah.
The only one that's uncertain, he gave me the current number for where proposed operating budget.
Yeah.
That's subject to change based on tomorrow night, because they meet with the school board at 6, and then the public hearing is at 7, and they have a couple of proposed changes the SAU does.
It could shrink down,
But
potentially.
It may come down, it's gonna go, if it goes anywhere, it's coming down some. I don't know where, but that's up to them to decide. And that will impact that, once they get the blessing of the board. They didn't wanna give me that number, how much they're paring down, because they haven't revealed it to the
It's
board.
okay, yeah. I mean, we're gonna hear from Superintendent Coe next
Yeah.
Wednesday and get the final,
Yeah,
after their hearings this week.
but I've got I think I gave it, did you
I
see
got
my
it.
email?
Yeah, and I put it in.
Yeah.
So if everybody's okay with it, I'll show the big picture, we can talk through it. And
Yeah.
what we did last year was looking at the big picture, then you can say, based on the rate increase, maybe some things aren't as important as they sound in isolation, maybe they are. Last year, we had one item that was it was the, what do they call that, the cap that they bought.
Oh,
Yeah.
What was that for?
the landfill?
Landfill cap, thank you. That was $150,000, and by law, we had to buy it. We didn't really have a choice to say no.
Is it installed yet?
Not yet? Oof.
Nope.
We were told that, if we didn't get a landfill cap and correct that, we were gonna get fined. I'm surprised that it's not installed yet.
There are issues.
I don't know, yeah, I don't know what the issues are myself personally, but, yeah. So, like that one, we said yes, we recommended it. It was a lot of money. And it drove the estimated tax rate up above a level that I was comfortable with, but, and then I think we said no to a couple other things just to kind of balance things. So that's why looking at the big picture is helpful, yeah, and look at what happens last year. So, let me just put it up there.
How does he do that?
While you're doing it, I gotta grab
There's
some.
a.
HDMI.
Be right back.
Oh.
Yeah, you can stretch it as far as,
Going going over the finances, I forget her name, Beth has,
Which side is
what's
yours?
her computer?
Over here, unfortunately.
I think a number of people.
That's as far as we can go.
Does that pull out anymore?
No. If we pull it, you won't have a connection.
Sit, maybe move it.
Why don't you go
Yeah.
where Bill is and move
I can
Bill
just-
over?
I can just sit there.
If you sit there, I'll just move this out so everybody can see.
Bill will live.
Instead of trying to make it stretch further and.
Just keep yanking on it.
And the functional use of that, this idea.
There we go.
I did that to some of my Christmas tree lights, that didn't go well.
Push Bill out of his space. Hopefully you can see that.
John?
Can you make it just a little bit bigger, please?
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, that's good, thank you.
So, one big difference from last year is, last year we had all the we had multiple views. If everything passes, if nothing passes, and then based on what our recommendations were. Now I have different tabs for those instead of, all on one page, so this will be easier to print. You know, sometimes people were trying to print and it was really big, so like, that's better, just so you know. I'll send out an Excel and a PDF version of this, tonight, so you can have a draft. So, where proposed, oops, something, there it goes. Accidentally deleted something. Where proposed budget. You gotta share. Where proposed, and then where as a support contract. So these are the actual tax impact numbers for each of these items. Okay? And we'll add up all these tax impacts to come up with what the new predicted tax rate would be. And I'll caveat that later, but John Stark has a proposed budget, and they have a teacher's contract. So these are in red because we gotta confirm them tomorrow night and the next night, but these are the tax impacts that Bill got. Where's proposed budget? This one could change. I think this is something that Beth gave me, but this will probably be a little lower, but it's ballpark. And I'm gonna flip over to last year. You know, last year, where's proposed budget was, $3.47. This year, it's $4.03, but the assessed value has changed, so those percentages aren't apples and oranges.
From a taxpayer's point of view, isn't it real?
Is it the same?
No, I mean, what was the tax impact this year?
The NAV, or
For where?
the assessed value? 1,306,55
No. What was the tax impact?
of the budget?
Yes,
The-
this year and last year. Oh, wait, never mind, because Naomi pointed out that there are other warrant articles that are not included in this.
Right.
So it's not apples to apples.
No, and the other thing is that the proposed budget this year includes the 5% DPW, fire, and town non-union raises that all got passed last year. I think they all passed. But so the things that are green here are, if they pass, they will roll into future budgets because they're recurring costs, salary. All of these include salary and things that will affect the next year's default budget, proposed budget, they roll in.
This is sort of off topic because I didn't think to ask it earlier, but are the bonuses for highway in the budget or are they somewhere else?
They're in the proposed budget.
And the bonuses are because they're supposed to work at night for snow and stuff,
For being on call, for plowing, yeah.
but that's their job.
But
They
it's
don't
a
have to,
shift.
they don't have to come in for plowing shifts at
Hmm.
11 at night or whatever, I guess. It's an incentive. That number did get dropped, I think, right, from the original number? Yeah. It was a little higher at first, but it got dropped. So yeah, that's an incentive. It's like a stipend. It's not their job, technically.
So if they don't show up, we continue to pay them to work for us otherwise?
For their
Their hourly.
salary hours,
Regular shift.
yeah. This is above and beyond bonus. Like, we pay him to plow, I think, but this is a bonus to be available, is an incentive to come in and actually do the
Because
plow.
I've lived in another town, and this is just because I'm curious, and they're expected to be there to plow if they've got snow. That's part of their job.
I don't know of an industry that will pay the same wage for off hours and expect that kind of commitment.
State does.
I don't know.
The state did something, the state did $2,500 sign-on for winter bonus this year.
Yeah, they get extra.
That's somewhat different. I suppose you could have a job where overtime is a requirement, it's part of the job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And you can have a job where overtime is voluntary. I think we're in the latter category. And therefore, in order to make sure that when we need them, they are in fact available, we're paying this bonus. But if we change the job description, the bonus wouldn't be necessary legally, but as a practical matter, if every other town is paying this, and I don't know whether they are, then if you're going to, in a situation where there are too few people to fill the jobs available, you're going to lose employees to other towns. So somebody, presumably Jason, has looked at this and made the calculation, the judgment call, that this is necessary.
Well, if somebody's coming in at 3 o'clock in the morning to do their job, they should get an extra.
Well, some companies have shift differentials.
Yep.
On the first shift, there's no extra money, the second
Yeah.
shift, it's 5%, the third shift is 10%.
Absolutely.
But we don't have shifts like that, we only have the first shift.
yeah, holidays
You
too.
leave your family at Thanksgiving because you have no plow.
He did stagger it out too, I believe, and instead of a flat bonus, and that if somebody left in the middle, or if they didn't show up continually, they would not get as much money.
It's prorated on if you call and you're there. If you don't do 100% all the time, then it's prorated.
Go write it down, so not everybody gets the full 2,500 or whatever it is.
Makes sense.
That's a good question for Monday night too. So, basically, all the, you know, the proposed contracts are all here, and then line 9 and below are all the warrant articles that we just went through for the town. Because there are no, the only warrant articles for the schools are the contracts. So they have their budget and a contract, there's nothing else. Town has budget and no contracts this year, but carport, cruiser, body worn cameras. These are green because they're gonna roll in maintenance for future years, so I just like to make them green, just to know that it's not exactly a one-time cost. We're gonna have incurred cost in future years because of the purchase. Body worn cameras, maintenance, and tasers have maintenance. Detective, I think, would roll in as a line item in his budget. Wellness, same thing, it'd be a benefit. Fire engine, now, this one has no tax impact, so there's nothing here, but I did put the price next to the item.
What's the pump in there for? The pump came out of the bottom line of.
Hope repair, oh, did it? Oh, that was end of year? Okay, so this one's completely gone now, right? Yeah, it was gonna be a warrant article, I think, at one point, and, okay, good, so that's, takes it down a little bit. The Lucas devices, CPR, they're, again, coming out of a fund. Town employee raises would roll in. Park director stipend, same thing, it'll probably become part of the budget. Unfunded retirement, this one, we don't know what that's yet, if there's even gonna be anything, or what it's gonna be. And so, that's why voting right now, to me, is premature, because there's still missing items here, and we don't know the final town budget yet. 10-wheel truck, there's no bridge fund this year, didn't come up.
Tom, how many trucks do they want going forward? Are we slowly getting, are we gonna get a budget line about trucks every year?
I forget what his,
We went 6 years without.
I don't, yeah.
What
I
was
don't-
that?
We went 6 years without a truck.
I think he wants to get a truck for the next couple of years,
Yep.
Because we've been getting a truck, what, for the last 3, 4?
right, I think. We recommended it last year, and, sorry for the small, and it passed, yeah. Along the lines of our recommendation, it passed. Road reconstruction, roadside mower, transfer scale, Cypre and Forester don't, they come out of other funds. I put the fireworks in there, and I put the actual county and statewide property tax rates in here. If you were on the committee last year, remember we used the prior year number, and we knew it would go up. And so our estimate could have been a little low because of that, now it's gonna be accurate for those numbers.
Tom,
Yes.
regarding the fireworks, who funds them right now? I
Private
thought they were privately funded.
and private. Yep, somebody donated,
An adequate amount of money
I
for.
heard it was for like, I heard somebody donated 5 years' worth, but I guess not. I guess it was just 1 year.
I don't know, I just thought I'd ask.
3? Yeah. So apparently that donation's gone dry, so if somebody's asking for it, or maybe they don't know. I don't,
Or they want more.
I mean, if it's gonna affect the bottom line, and if it passes, we have access to the petition filer. We can contact them and ask them what they know, why they wanna do this.
That would be nice.
to
How
do
much
that.
would 11,000 worth of drones provide?
Drones?
That's like the new thing, like, right, the like drones laser light show?
11 seems high.
No, we don't need drones around
I
here.
thought the fireworks cost like $6,000.
Reusable.
Yeah. No, the shows are,
But if they
Dollars on
have
three.
no plan, or they just
Something
swagged a
missing.
number, we can consider that, I'm sorry.
no,
We can consider that in our decision-making. So when you add up all these tax impacts, it comes to $23.24. The current rate is $20.39. $2.85 per thousand difference, which is 13.98% increase.
Holy crap.
oh,
But, wait a second,
This caveat's good.
that's not, it's huge, but that's not the right number.
Right.
Because the tax rate that he's using for 2024 does not reflect, or does it reflect, all of the warrant articles?
For 2024, that's the set tax rate today. You talking about the $20.39 or the
Yeah,
one?
does that include all the warrant articles?
Yeah,
That's what your tax bill said, was $20.39.
yeah, the tax rate was set in November, so that's our current tax rate.
Do you know the
Do
revenues
you
at all?
agree, Naomi, that this is basically, forgetting the individual numbers, which may or may not change, is it fair to say that that's a 14% increase in the tax rate?
Townwide.
Yes.
Townwide, including schools and
Town
everything
and
else?
schools.
Yeah,
I mean, that's if everything passes now.
Yeah.
Right, no, I understand.
And
no,
the one caveat, Laura, you just asked about revenue.
yes.
We don't know.
These are bottom line numbers, so they are total budget minus revenues.
Okay.
For the schools, Bill, right? They gave you the bottom line numbers.
The tax rate, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah. It's just one minor difference.
okay.
And I don't know, you probably calculated from those, the raw number that Chris gave me on the rear portion of the start proposed was 554, not 548. I don't know where that 6 cents difference is, I can't tell you.
We using a different nav? Oh, they might be using it.
No, they got the same.
What was Rio's?
I had a different nav you emailed out the nav last week, and I used that number, and it was
Okay,
different.
I don't know, Chris used the same, I didn't
They
ask him
should
what,
be using the same one, because I sent it to him and Jackie and everybody.
yeah.
And me, and that was a different number than what you said tonight. So that might be, they might be,
I didn't ask what,
I have the
I didn't
email.
ask what Chris was using for it, yeah. I assumed it was the same because I knew it came from him.
So we can confirm that.
Yeah,
Um,
and then you're gonna want the default numbers too at some point. too.
We need the default, yeah, which we have no hope of getting until these hearings happen. But it's important to know that the total budget for Ware Schools is like 20 million.
Yes.
But when you subtract out revenues and such, there's a bottom line number. And that's a tax impact number.
Quick summary of where school impacts, just on the things that happen, what goes into that big number.
Sure.
Quick bullets. Second year of the teacher's contract, that's $420,000. That's into the proposed end of the year.
Right.
So that's a much of the increase right there.
That's a big one.
The bigger one is reduction in state aid.
Correct.
On the revenue side, $694,000.
That's killing us.
So that's the big one, because that means that when they put out their budget, they got the revenue side, and the rest goes to taxpayers. So if you got 694 less on the state side, that means all forking that over.
That means
Is that
this
the
would be like 12.5 million
Earth
instead of
stuff?
13.
Was that the stuff that we got because of COVID?
That-
No.
No, it's just reduction in
Okay.
state aid coming in based on whatever formulas they use.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with it.
That was ESSER funding,
Thank you.
and they would
Year
use
one,
that like
year
a.
one, The support staff contract, whatever, that's all, that one's in there, $153,000, I think it is projection. Second year, $102,000. Little one, the statewide education tax, which is a separate line on your bill, on your tax bill. That's going up by about 30,000, but that's a very minor, that'll be a couple cents, couple pennies, but that number is gonna go up.
That went down.
Yeah, this year it's gonna go up though.
It went from $1.46 to $1.43
Yeah,
this year.
it's probably gonna go back up to about 146, because,
Next year?
yeah,
Okay.
I showed those numbers at the same sheet that he provided that had the 694,000, had it in the green going, well, where, meaning you've gotta pay more by 30,000, so it's whatever 30,000 would be.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be a small amount. Year two of the Stark support staff contract is about another 39,000. Year one of the teacher contract for Stark, I think the wear impact, the total is 342, but the wear impact is gonna be about 69.6% is the number that Chris uses.
Yep.
On us, on
You
our
gave me
tax.
$5.48 for that, right? I just backed in this number here
Yep.
based on the NAV, but the 548.
And return to offset at the end of the year. Therein, this is only the business manager's best guesstimate right now based on how spending is going, but usually we get back, last year I think it was 300 and some thousand from the Ware schools, and another 100,000, the Ware share was 70,000 from Stark, which was less than we normally get, combined is about 400,000. This year he's expecting like 100 and then 70, about 170,000. So, the end of the year, their year to offset is gonna be less probably. So, you add all that up, it's about it's a bad number.
Well, I got
It's a big
20,
number.
I got 24%
Nuts.
bottom line here. Neil has a question.
Do the numbers that we see in column B reflect the revenue?
Yep, that's,
So we've already
Yeah, that's
taken
what
into
I asked you.
consideration the 700,000 loss in state aid. That's
Yeah.
reflected in these numbers.
Yes, that's built in. Their revenue is projected at about 7 million to offset
offset
the
the,
20 million. The Ware proposed budget is 20 million.
Right.
The revenue side, as Chris
Seven.
told me today, is 7 million, so that's where you get the 13.
And that's true throughout column B.
yes.
Yes.
The only one that's in question right now is this line number 8, the town. I don't have an exact bottom line after revenue number. This was an estimate from handouts, so this could change a little bit.
Isn't that what we just went over with Naomi, with, which is standing at 9 million right now?
Yeah, but after you factor,
Take your revenue out.
you take your
Okay.
revenue out, it'd be closer to 6,
Fair enough.
yeah. I hope. But, yeah, so these budgets, everything under the budgets, is actual cost, taxation, after they figured out how to offset the original cost. Like $30,000 for a cruiser is gonna come out of a fund and we pay the rest. That bottom line number is what I list here, it's in Tahoe, which is in the articles. And then the contracts are whatever they are. There's a fixed amount of dollars. And like the raises too, town employee raises, it says 115,678 in the article. And if you divide that into the NAV, you get you get 9 cents per thousand.
Tom, question for Naomi. I've asked the schools, and I'm going to ask you, where are we on looking at for different insurance to bring down our insurance rates? For health
Well, we
insurance and
pledged
things
to
like
do it,
that?
but we can't do it for this year.
Right, but are we starting to take
We
more,
haven't started anything yet, we gotta get through this much.
okay,
But
It's
we
on-
did, and Janice has mentioned that we're going to look at insurance.
a more aggressive action about that?
Yeah.
Good.
I'm not sure where you're gonna shop, but we'll take a look at it.
We brought that up with Jackie Coe too when she was
Oh,
here.
yeah,
And we can bring it up again next week. Something's gotta change.
Well, they know about these rate increases, and they don't do anything about them. And then when they give them to you and you say, are you doing anything with them? The look on their faces, because I have had meetings with Chris and Jackie, and we had them here before, they just look at you and go, well, in
All
a
the rates are-
business, you start shopping.
Right,
Everything's going up, though.
Neil
I
has a
mean,
question.
Oh, especially after these fires, a lot of stuff
Yeah,
is gonna go
insurance.
up.
On the revenue side, the school district, the Ware School District, I think, has a fund of 750,000, something like that, for building expenses, maintenance, repairs. And they're getting 0.1% interest on that. Now, if they were to get a market rate of, say, 5%, obviously, that would grow the fund faster. It wouldn't necessarily affect taxes this year, but when some project has to be done, or we build a new building, we dip into that fund, there'd be a lot more money in there, and therefore less money coming out of taxes.
Correct.
Is there some way that we can persuade the school district to invest that money more wisely?
Yeah, I would think so, as long as it doesn't hurt the liquefaction of it. Like if you put it into a 1-year CD, you can't touch it for a year. If they can find a way to get better than 1/10,
Yes.
Yes,
yeah, I'm sure they could find it somewhere, while having access to the money,
yeah.
even 3%, right?
Money
Mhm.
market.
Money market account in an investment.
Probably
No, that's a
even
great point. I mean,
Probably even better than that.
in the Historical Society, we did that very thing, and we made 10 grand in a year, you know, so. And interest rates are high, you take advantage of it while they're up.
Yeah.
That was kind of a impossible dream, a couple of years ago, when interest rates were like 1%, but now it's better.
As another source of revenue, and this is highly speculative, as we all know, we have a number of casinos in the state. And in theory, they're supposed to produce money for charities. They're called
Correct.
charitable gaming facilities.
Correct.
In some cases, there are charities with casinos that do a large volume of business, which are getting something like $80,000 a year from their share. Has the town or the schools looked into trying to qualify as one of these
Charitable organization.
charitable organizations?
don't they already get money from the lotto?
Yeah.
And that's only like a fraction of a percent or
That goes to
something,
the
it's
state.
small.
And then that's
State
part of the
distributes.
state fund, state
Maybe
education
we can
fund.
ask Andy.
Keno was supposed to pay for full-time
I didn't
kindergarten.
hear that.
Keno's not making the money that they
No,
had
they're
thought.
not making it.
well, California made it so that if you gambled, a portion of the returns would go to them. It's gone flat on their face, it used to handle their
It
school
never works.
system.
The-
No.
the-
Yeah.
In theory, the
That's
entire
sad.
money that the state collects from all sorts of gambling goes to the education trust fund, and in part is used to pay the state share of whatever they decide to pay.
In theory.
Something's not working in that system. So, last year, when we did this last year, just for reference, we came up with an increase of 11.65%. If everything passed, and this year, for comparative purposes, we're at about 14, so 3%. I think one of the things driving that is the teacher contract for the school last year. Year one rolled into this year, year two is kicking in, it's a total of 2 million total, I think.
Yeah, 900-some thousand, and originally it was projected at 300-some thousand for year two, but it's 420 is what Chris told me.
Right. So we're paying like 1.2 million this year for that contract.
Yeah.
The 2 years combined. So that's driving up, did I have that right? That's driving up the school
Yeah,
budget.
well, if you, just look at it and you say, the second year of the last year was over 900,000 in year one.
Right.
And it was, for the 420 in year two is still, higher than the other two contracts that are on the ballot for approval,
Yeah.
the support staff contract.
And they're combined this year.
And the teacher's contract
Right.
at start. You add the two of those together, it's still less than the second year of the teacher's contract from there.
Tom, can you prepare this in such a way that we, in a separate column, see the special warrant articles that have, that passed last year and have increased costs for last year and this year, so that, at the bottom line, it won't be a 14% increase, because the warrant articles would have been included.
Yeah, I can identify the warrant articles that passed last year that would have rolled into this budget. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, so that when we get to the bottom line, instead of a 14% increase, well, no, I think you said it already, it's already included.
Yeah.
It's already included.
Yeah, never
Yeah.
mind.
So the teacher contract last year in the schools, their salary line item went up by the 900,000, and plus the 400,000 for the second year.
That's why their budget.
And so, the
Become,
tax rate that you
Reflects that.
showed for 2024 reflects that.
yes.
So we should see outstanding test scores.
So that's why these things are green, because they are the things that will affect next year's operating budget, one way or another. And not entirely, but, a portion of it.
Are you going to share with us what happens if none of the warrant articles pass?
Yeah, I don't have any default budget numbers yet, though,
Oh,
so
never mind.
I can give you that, but they're just fillers. I can only show you if everything passes right now.
So
Thank
with
you.
like, the school has healthcare, I believe, right? That's in increase. So
12%.
even if it didn't pass, you would still see that increase.
Yes.
So that's a good point. So there, it's a $20 million proposed. The default, which is like a 6.5% increase,
Mhm.
the default is really a 5% increase. It's not that,
Okay.
because
Because it won't have
the
everything.
contract, salary contracts, the insurance, all that stuff has to be in the default budget. It's not something that comes out. So the difference between the two is, 2 points or less. It's a difference, but the only way that we would spend less money is if somebody at deliberative made a motion to reduce the proposed budget by some number and that passed.
Uh-huh.
That could be less than the default, but the default's the default. The proposed is the default plus whatever else they wanted to add in.
It could both come down together, if they did away with positions.
Oh, yeah,
Then,
Well-
then the default and the proposed would
If-
both come down as opposed to what.
right. Right, so they're negotiating with the school board whether they want to make some cuts.
Right.
Those cuts would affect
Both,
both.
Yes.
potentially,
Right.
depending what the cuts were.
Right.
But once it's fixed, the default's the default, proposed can change, but it'll come, doesn't usually happen that way, but that's the only way it could change. So I would suggest, taking a look at this, going to the hearings if you can, and just this tab I'll send out. I won't send any others because they're just not complete. And think about, what you think is fiscally sound across the board. Prioritize, that's what I usually do. I put numbers next to these things, what's most important in my mind for operating the town or the school or whatever. And, I also have a number that I would like to stay, the tax rate to stay below, not go above a certain number. And, when I send you the Excel, all you can do is, you could take, if you don't think road reconstruction's important, let's say, just hypothetically, right? You take that and you zero that out, and it drops the rate down to 12.6. So you can scratch the items that you don't think are important and see where that gets you. Now, when we get the default numbers for everybody this week, you can go to this tab, all fail, and the only things that would increase our tax rate would be the default budgets. The contracts could fail. People could say, no, we don't like that contract, stick to the current,
Yeah.
they would stick with current rates. So the only three things that, Neil, correct me if I'm wrong here, the only three things that would affect the tax rate would be the two schools' default budget and the town default budget. All the warrant articles failed, all the contracts failed. That's the only thing that would happen to our tax rate, correct? And that would be, again, this is not correct, but these numbers aren't right, but it'd be more like a 2% increase. Minus 11 is not. That's why don't pay attention to this tab right now. Those numbers are way off. But it'll be a lot less than 13%. And then there'll be another tab where it'll be whatever we recommend as a group. We will things that we recommend will pop up down in the list here. And otherwise there'll be zero, and then you'll see what our recommendations yield as a rate.
Tom, one of the things that we've done in the past is to say, talk about the tax impact in dollars for an average valued house. You had 400,000 there.
I changed it to 400, because there's not a lot of $350,000
So,
houses.
so the question is, do we now have tiers that we need to put in, or is the average price of a house $500,000?
I think it's in the low fours is what I read online. So I have tiers here, we can increase these tiers if people like. Yeah, I think it's just a little,
They're selling for 6 and 7.
yeah.
We could probably widen it instead of having a
Well, I think the
50,000
350
gap,
doesn't
like
make
do
any
a
sense.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
100,000.
350,
That'll get you a
450,
bigger
550.
range.
Yeah.
Could change that easily. Actually, I think it's dynamic. Oops.
I was gonna say, isn't it more your assessed value, which isn't what you're gonna get on the
It
market
is.
for it right now?
It's not-
Like,
Right.
my house is worth $350 assessment, but I could get way more for it at this point in time.
It's really assessed value.
Assessed value, not value.
Right.
Not home value, assessed value.
Yeah.
Assessed value, there you go.
Actually, property, right?
Or home assessed value probably is clearer.
There you go.
It's actually,
That's probably not bad.
yep, so this is dynamic, if you wanted to go in and play with this, you wanna go into Excel. So you can see that a 450 would, based on a 13.98, would see a $1,282 increase.
So Tom, based on what you guys have in front of you tonight, we've got the proposed, and I've got a revenue figure that I don't think has changed. So the, would be 5084914,
The bottom line,
on number 8,
5084,
5084914, should be up to $3.89.
Does that assume any of the surplus is used to offset taxes?
I'll assume anything, I just have the number less the anticipated revenue.
and so there could be another 400,000 taken off of that,
Yes.
right? And that's why I'm hesitant on this number, just because they haven't finalized that yet, but the schools are closer. So again, take this with a little bit of grain of salt.
Yeah, because that's what I found a sheet when the revenues. I don't think the revenues, I don't see any revenues have changed.
Okay. So that brings it down to, 13.2, better. But-
And if the selectmen threw in the full 400,000, you can knock off another 30 cents.
Yeah. So if we take that number and just,
Well, I don't think you'll see them put on the budget. You probably
it'll affect the tax rate, but not the
Yeah,
budget.
Exactly.
Right.
I don't think they're gonna do it in the budget part, I think it would be.
But for our purposes, maybe you need a separate line for that. But we need to recognize that that's a realistic possibility. Maybe not the full 400, but some amount. And the selectmen may, they don't have to do that till next October, but they may give a hint or some sort of sense, and we could incorporate that so that it's a more realistic picture.
Right, so last year, and to put that in perspective, last year, we came up with an 11.65% increase if everything passed. Our tax rate did not go up by 11.65, it went up less than that, I don't know.
8.2.
So we were 3% higher because the revenues that factored in after the fact.
We're conservative on our revenue before.
Yep, right, and some of those you don't even know until the summer, right? So they straggle in, the tax rate gets set in November. So this number is always a little high. Last year it was a little high and low because we used the prior year county and statewide property tax rates. This year we're using the actual, so we're a little closer to reality. But we don't know those revenues, so this 13, if we look at what happened last year, it's most likely 10%. Yeah, it's just a swag. 10%'s still a healthy number.
But 10% means if that were to continue for the next 7 years, my taxes would double.
Yes.
Right.
Well, they have
Doubled in 7 years.
doubled in the past 7 years already, right?
Yes.
Mine have,
They've doubled in the past 7 years?
Yes.
mine have.
Just for the value.
Yeah, some of it's the value going up.
I didn't think you
I
meant for a
gotta
regular
check that,
26,
I don't-
it's 26 reassessment.
I got mine in
Doubled?
The other one?
2015,
I don't think they've
it's
doubled.
doubled.
I went from 55 to 10,
Ouch.
Over 7 years?
8 years ago. But there was an assessment in there. I did a little bit of building, but not a lot. Outside,
But the reassessment, in theory,
I shouldn't, not everybody's goes up.
Yeah.
Your assessment goes up, your taxes go down, your rate goes down,
Yeah,
and the taxes remain the same.
The taxes.
But the dollar number, yeah, and I've almost doubled. Maybe I was unassessed, lower assessed at the time, I don't know. But, no, they've gone up.
There's those gold chandeliers.
Yeah. That skylight that I put in,
Crown molding.
Yeah, chicken coop.
chicken coop, yeah.
I'm sure it was
The
that.
chicken coop is worth a lot of money. So-
Did it?
Could be an area.
I don't think it
What's that?
affected
Could be an
mine.
area.
Yeah, no, it's on mine.
I should.
Yeah, you can see, like, I have a big chicken coop with like a run and everything, like, it's easy to see.
I have a little bit of a roof I built on my shed, and that got taxed as a lean-to.
Yep.
Beyond the assessment.
Unless you put wheels on it.
And literally, the Tractor Supply, $199 chicken coop is on the tax card now.
Yep.
Jaded assessors. I wasn't home at the time.
I'll have to take a look at mine.
So Naomi, can you confirm this now, that this is correct? 555. That is the correct one?
I'll send you a memo to see if that's the number it's using.
Should be, I was looking to see my email.
Pass me my phone, Mike. I'll just read off
Asked
that.
him what he was using,
No, you're right, I'm wrong. That's the number you gave me.
I thought I gave it to him,
Yeah. And I passed that number on to Bill. Yeah, no, sorry. I passed that on to Bill, he's doing his own calculations.
Just for your information, my guess is that $700,000 reduction in state aid this year
Mm-hmm.
will be repeated next year.
Yes.
Yes.
And I don't know for how many more years,
At least two.
at least 2.
just a hunch.
The formula was changed some years back, and the amount of money that Ware would have lost, and other towns, was very significant. So the legislature said, well, we'll phase it in. So instead of getting hit with the full amount in year one, it's phased in over 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it is.
Well, with the
Well,
political,
and they've got to do something about special ed funding too, because that's gotten messed up too.
I think it's 5 years, Neil, because my notes
5?
say,
That's right.
well, it says
That's what you
decrease
gave
by 20% each year until it's gone. So
So-
20% would be 5 years.
I thought I had changed it.
looking at the political change that's gonna be coming in, the thought is to do less with more, or do more with less, right? So I think if anything, it's just gonna get worse from here on out, having less funding coming to the town.
Well, she's going to start looking into cleaning up expenses up at the state level and whether they're really using what they should when they're doing it, just like they're planning to do with Dodge.
So the committee can decide what it wants to do. We can vote on things tonight. We can wait. It's not my call. I'm just saying, not all the information is there, so you can decide what you want to do.
I'd rather wait till next week because
Yeah.
there's too many variables that are still going on.
At our next meeting, will we have all of the final numbers or not?
We will have all the school final numbers. I'm assuming the town,
I would hope so. I would hope so.
their public hearing is before our next meeting.
No, because I have to post the warrant by the 27th of May.
Cause they'll have it on Monday and then we'll have the next
Monday.
day.
So you
Yeah.
expect the selectmen to finish their business on the budget this coming
I
Monday?
hope they.
Okay,
Well, the public
Hope they
hearing,
really hope so.
They don't get to sleep on Tuesday, they got to
the
stay
schools
up.
are the next 2 nights,
Says
tomorrow and
sure.
and the day after, so they should be finalized.
I don't anticipate changes with Stark's
I think the schools are pretty, Stark should be good, yeah. Ware might come down a little.
little bit, I think.
Yeah, and so, yeah. I think it's premature personally, but
So
I don't-
just
I think we're gonna have to
food for
redo
thought.
it.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Food for thought at looking at the schools in the surrounding areas around us. I was looking at what we spend on education versus the other towns, and we're like right in the middle.
Yeah, we're fine.
yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
been
read
creeping
it.
up
Okay.
over the past few years, probably getting us to that middle ground. Yeah, sorry, if I interrupted somebody.
I thought I had interrupted you, but
No, I was agreeing. I think it's too
Premature.
soon. It's premature because I feel like we'd end up just redoing the work later when we have
Yeah.
firmer numbers. So I was agreeing
Yeah.
with it.
And last year, the question came up, if we voted on something, our recommendation, well, there's 2 things. One was, typically, there's a majority report of why we went yes or no. And last year, we agreed, and we don't have to do it every time, but we can, that we could do a minority report, a little blurb on the minority thinks that this was a good idea because of, even though the rest of the committee said it wasn't a good idea, whatever. And the second point was, last year, we reopened some issues that we had voted on, I think, 1 or 2. I think some changes came in, late changes, and we re-voted on a recommendation. I think we changed 1.
Yeah, it was after the deliberative, right? Was that,
No,
No,
it
nope.
was before
I
that?
think it was after the public hearing, maybe?
Was it after it was after something happened that changed the information.
I think it's a public hearing.
Yeah,
but we also did something else. At the time we made our recommendations, we went article by article,
Right.
and at the end, we looked at the bottom line as to what we had agreed on.
Yep.
And then we allowed anyone who wished to go back and change something to reduce the bottom line or increase the bottom line. We allowed that to happen, so that we were able to look at the larger picture after we had finished our line-by-line work.
Correct.
right.
And I think that's important, because I may want the 10-wheeler, but when I look at the bottom line, I may say, we can't afford it.
Right.
I think the police cruiser numbers changed too. We voted for it, and then we voted against it, or something.
I think it was
something-
I think
the
we voted
opposite.
The other way
at the
around?
end, we voted,
We flipped our vote. Yeah, because he found money to
right.
offset it more, so
Right.
we went
we went
Yeah.
for
He
it.
said, sure, you know, it's a big difference, like $40,000, I think.
Yeah.
So anyways, we, as a committee, we can, if you wanna get a block together and stop us from re-voting on something, you can. I mean, the committee decides, so, we can, you know, what they do at deliberative is they say, vote to restrict reconsideration, right? We could do that if we wanted to. You could say, we voted on this, and I think we should take a vote on never voting on it again. If we do, we do, you know, it's up to the,
This is, I think, too small a group to play, to use that
Right.
kind of a technique. I think we're better off if we go through it and we make a judgment about each one, and then we look at the whole package and say, it's acceptable or it's not acceptable, and perhaps we can go back and do
Whittle it
something. We have a
down.
discussion of that.
Yep.
And it's generally a consensus will develop. If I, for example, want to go back and try to reduce something, but the rest of the group feels, we're pretty satisfied with this, then we're not going to do that.
Right.
That'd be like where we would go through all the articles and vote, and then at the bottom we recess, like if we need to go back through and read
Right.
through, okay.
and that's why I suggest, when I send the spreadsheet out, for this tab, the all pass tab, you can go ahead and, you go ahead and delete, it'll be your copy, delete the things that you think, you know, on the cost here. Delete the cost, it'll come out of the percentage, and you can see what your first pass thoughts get you down to, you know, and you can advocate for those accordingly. So, you know, just delete this dollar number, right? I don't know if you can see where I am, but this column here, if you delete these dollar numbers, it'll change the percent automatically, like I showed earlier, so. That's what I do. I say, okay, what's most important to me, and I get rid of everything else. See where I land.
This is sort of like the, going into the voting session with the handout. And most of us have gone in there and we've already marked. We're voting yes on one, no
Yep.
on two, yes on three, no on four. And so we know what we're going to do when we go in. We don't have to read the articles, we've already
Exactly.
read them and so forth.
Right.
Same thing here.
You have a really long time in the booth trying to decide
Yes.
that.
Well, and that will speed up our meetings. If you don't think about it until 6 o'clock next Wednesday,
Sure,
so,
sure.
just my recommendation, you have time. And the warrant articles give you all the detail you need about those, the budgets are the budgets, so. When I get updates tomorrow night on the defaults for the schools, I will go in and fill in the all fail tab and send you another copy. And then when I get the town default, I'll send you another copy and just keep working with a new copy, so.
So we're looking at next meeting, hopefully being able to go through and vote?
Yes.
Okay,
So the next meeting, Superintendent Coe is gonna come back and give us
okay.
a little update on what happens tomorrow and Wednesday, Thursday night, and what their final numbers are. I don't know when they're gonna finalize the Ware one, they're gonna chip away, are they gonna do it after
No,
tomorrow?
I think we're gonna know after Wednesday night, because
Right.
they're gonna present any new numbers to the Ware School Board at 6 o'clock for their regular meeting on.
They can change them on the fly for the public hearing,
Yes,
so we'll know Wednesday night,
yes.
probably, okay.
I would expect, that's what's expected.
Yeah, so she's gonna come in, and then ideally, we would vote on the 4 school items, there's fewer of them. And then we can start on the town ones next week, and what we don't finish, we'll finish on the 28th. And when we vote on something, the majority, if you voted for it, everybody's gonna give their little comments on why they think it was the right thing. And that will be used to come up with a statement for the mailer. And for the deliberative, we have to read our statement. Finance Committee recommends the plow truck because, minority opinion said we didn't need it because, and so, Bill's crafting the schools, blurbs, we'll call them.
Bill is crafting all of the blurbs.
No.
I second that. Don't give me that privilege. There's been a volunteer. Because he's been right on top of it.
Well, I volunteered to not make Bill do everything, so. And also, we can't we can't rely on him for all of that stuff.
That's right, I almost wasn't here.
I know.
Yeah.
So, I volunteered to do, now, if somebody else is interested in the town blurbs, by all means, you can take the first draft from me, and I will not be,
We
I will
wouldn't
not
want
be
to
sad,
take
but
that from you.
I did it because I wanna not have Bill be the burden of everything, and he's taken minutes this year.
But the concept is still the same.
Yes.
We'll have our discussion, we have our vote. Sure. And then you will write up what you think,
And then we will all,
and then we will all agree or disagree with that, but we'll all have a common starting point.
that's why
Correct.
you need to bring a snack on the 28th, because
Okay,
we need to vote on all the town articles, and then we need to come up with blurbs, comments for and I'm not gonna do it myself. You have to scan the room and ask for feedback as well. I mean, you can write up your own draft, people can comment in, but I want the majority to kind of tell me why they think what we should write. I'm not gonna, I'll put the first draft together, but.
I don't think you'll have to pry too hard to get people's opinions here.
Just need somebody to collect it.
That's good. You've been right on the mark out of what's coming out of your head, everybody's, and we
He
tweaked
hasn't,
it,
yeah.
we tweaked it
Yeah,
a few times.
No, I'm not thinking.
Yeah.
You all.
He's got the crystal ball.
And
been doing it for a long time.
I think I did have some comments before.
Yeah.
Naomi, we can,
The obvious ones.
what we bring to deliberative our write-ups can change before we submit for the,
Yeah.
yes,
yeah, because we have a meeting on February 11th to final our comments
yes.
Yeah.
for the mailer. They may change from what we do in deliberative, but our votes won't, but a little bit of the crafting.
At delivery, your articles could change.
Yeah, that's
That's
why
true.
I think we did
They go-
change, I think we did revote
We
on
did
some
not.
because there were changes at the deliberative, they were amended.
Oh, that's true, you're right,
Yeah,
you're right. If the dollar amount amends,
Yeah, 'cause
We
some
revisited.
we had to redo it.
So the final is gonna be February 11th.
That's our drop dead, we have a
Okay.
meeting that night. I think the 14th is the drop dead,
Yeah, have to get
Yeah.
it in the printer by the 14th.
so we have a meeting on February 11th to
Okay.
finalize.
So the 28th and then February 11th, we don't have anything between those two?
No.
Just
Okay.
the deliberative.
But the
Deliberatives.
February 11th meeting, we've really made our decisions by that time.
We already have.
And the only thing that we
Ordering it.
usually focus on would be any changes that were made in the deliberative session. That doesn't
Okay.
prevent us from having an epiphany and saying, we made a mistake and we're going to change some of our recommendations.
Correct.
But generally, in the past,
done.
we
Yeah.
held firm on those and just looked at the deliberative session changes.
If the
So it was
deliberative,
a relatively short meeting.
Well, we actually, at one deliberative session several years ago, somebody changed one of the articles that was up, and they made changes, significant changes, that the finance committee, because you were part of that, actually had a little meeting at the deliberative and changed their vote right then and there,
Yeah.
because they redid all that. So we do have a lot of,
they cut like 20% off some dollar number or
Yes.
something, and yeah, that happens.
not often, but
Yeah, we can
Yeah, they
only
decided
write
to-
up what we know about going into deliberative, right? We could change.
to take the money from a reserve fund instead of adding it in the warrant value, right? So
Right.
then we decided it was okay.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
dropped the number. Yeah. Anybody have any other items for discussion, questions?
Are we gonna vote on minutes?
Hmm?
Are we gonna vote on
Oh,
minutes?
yeah, we have 2 sets of minutes to vote on. Thank you.
You got it.
We'll send them out to everybody
Yep.
about a week ago, week and a half ago. Okay, thank you, Maria.
You got it.
Keeping this on track.
Yeah, used to be my job.
So we have minutes from December 10th.
Motion to approve minutes from December 10th.
Lori made the motion, seconded, anybody?
Second.
Okay, Mike, second. Any comments, corrections, questions about the December 10th minutes? They look good to me. Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes from December 10th, 2024 for the Ware Finance Committee, say yes or aye.
Aye.
Any
I'm gonna
noes?
abstain because I wasn't here.
Maria's abstaining, she wasn't appointed yet. So that is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, 1. Did I do that right?
So,
Yep. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes for December 18th. That was,
Motion to approve minutes for December 18th.
anyone a second?
I'll second.
I have one correction.
Got it.
I wasn't present at the meeting. I did watch the presentation on YouTube later, but it has me attending the meeting.
On the 18th?
Correct. I might have been, right here.
So you were not absent?
I was absent. Oh, sorry. Oh. Disregard.
You were in the absent column?
I was. I saw my name and I just assumed.
That's all right. Any other amendments to the minutes? You're a rock star, Bill.
Best secretary I've ever had.
Oh, no, I think Maria did a fine job.
Yeah.
We've got another year coming
All tho-
up. Always opportunities to shine.
all those in favor of approving the minutes as written for December 18th, 2024, say yes or aye.
Aye.
Any noes, abstentions? You here?
I was here.
You were here?
Am I
10-0,
in the not column?
10-0-0.
So I watched the YouTube video. I did, so I was full aware and aligned with the meeting.
It's quite appropriate to vote on minutes even if you were not at the meeting.
Yeah.
You're not precluded from voting just because you were absent.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Any other business anybody needs to bring up? Okay, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
second.
Second, all right, we are adjourned. Just need a motion on that one. See you on the,
Wednesday, right?
next Wednesday, the 22nd,
At 6.
at 6 PM.
We're not bringing snacks